Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. I've got a new build for you today, and I built this a little while ago. I actually built it was on the first thing other than checking out the items that I did on the Dine Out when I got the Dine Out game, which was on the release day. But I hadn't got round to editing and making this video for you. But I've made a Japanese restaurant, and I've done some Asian builds before and they've been quite popular and you guys seem to like it. So I decided to do another one, and unlike some of maybe my other builds, what I've done with this one is you can see more of my process. I sometimes what I do is I experiment around and sort of test things, and then after I've done that I then make up like a little plan on some grid paper, and then I build it from that as like a guide, so that you guys don't have to see me sort of messing up like I am now and sort of trying new things and, sort of experimenting and making sure that things are, they look all right and that kind of thing. But I decided that I was just going to go for it this time. I had done little before the pack came out. I thought I wanted to do a restaurant build which was Japanese or Asian in some way, and I had experimented with some different roofing styles that I'd got from inspiration. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Kyoto or Kyoto or something like that. I can't speak Japanese, so I'm sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. But it was temples in that kind of region that I looked at when I was getting inspiration for this build. So I had a few different ideas of what I would do for the roofing, but in the end I went for this kind of style, which you'll see me doing right now, where it's got like I guess the roofing like a square roofing on one part, and then I don't know how to describe roof pieces. Well, the ones, maybe the ones with the flat sides, maybe that's how you'd describe it, but I sort of layered them over each other to get that, and I'm sort of messing around with the where the building's going to be and where the foundation is going to be and where the sort of fencing is going to be, where I put the fencing. And pathways and things like that. But yeah, so again, there is only a limited sort of amount of things that you can do in The Sims for Japanese and Asian inspired builds. But they actually came out with some lanterns, and from when I was looking at pictures, they had like these walls or fencing that I was trying to replicate when I was doing my sort of practice runs or sort of more experimenting sort of runs, and they seem to be like paneling going across with gaps in between, and we didn't really have anything like that at all in The Sims. And I was using this sort of, you might have seen to begin with, that I actually put on like this metal railing because that was the closest thing I could get, and nothing was the bright red that we'd been looking for, or I'd been looking for. So with the half wall sort of extensions, I've been able to replicate what I'd always wanted to replicate. We've also got a ton of different lanterns, and we've got some paintings that kind of look in a Japanese style, and I think quite a few of the clothes were supposed to look as though they were from like a Japanese restaurant or something, and I remember in the trailer things looked like they were supposed to be more sort of Japanese, and with the menu and things like that. So that was my inspiration for it anyway. But you'll see it's coming together. When I did the build with Fry, you might have seen it. It was one of my other Asian inspired builds. She did a tower for her half of her build. And I was thinking, because it is a very, very common thing in all the pictures that I've seen, and when I was in China as well, it was very, very common there too. To have these towers, and actually all over Asia you'll see this kind of thing where it's these sort of temple towers that will have sort of roof layers layered on top of each other in different stories. So I wanted to incorporate that too, like Fry did in the last build that we did together. And So what I thought is that the bottom level of it could actually be a little bar area where your Sims could go and get some drinks and stuff like that. So that was the idea behind it, and yeah, I hope you like that. I wasn't 100% sure how the drinks worked. I didn't know whether they went up to the bar to get them, or I wasn't completely sure. It turns out that they get given to them on the table, but your Sims still sit at the bar, and it's actually quite a nice place for your Sims to be sitting. So I hope you like that. But yeah, I thank you. I want to thank you guys because I have been away for a little while, and I'm trying my best to sort of make my content more regular like it was before. And I'd spoken to you guys before about possibly doing live streams as well, so I'm hoping that maybe I can do like a restaurant live stream, and we can start from the bottom and work our way up and try and get maybe even we can by the end of it have this restaurant and own it. But I want to thank you guys for sticking with me through this sort of short time. I was going through quite a rough patch. I don't want to go into details about it because it's my personal life, but and I also know that there are a lot bigger problems than what I was going through in the world. However, it was quite difficult for me to be able to make videos on top of everything else I was doing. So the people that have stuck by and are still watching my videos and are still supporting me and commenting in my videos and all of that kind of stuff, I really appreciate it, because it's been a lovely welcome back, and I'm really happy that you guys still like my content and still want to spend some of your day watching what I've created. It's quite an honour, actually, so thank you. But what I just tried then was I tried the new wallpaper, which was red and gold, which I thought actually looked really great, and it was very similar to what it was actually on the temples and stuff like that. However, the gold was actually really thin, so from a distance it was really hard to see that, and the walls just looked red. So I went back to the red and the white, or the red and the silver paneling that I'd used last time for my other Chinese and Japanese inspired builds. But if you would like to use the new ones, then feel free to change it. I was just making it so that from a distance it would still look nice. But I also put in a whole load of these pillars, because that was also something which I saw a lot of these pictures having. So they had sort of the loads and loads of pillars, and it was sort of open areas underneath or open areas around the main building and that kind of thing. So you'll see that that's what I tried to do. And they also had sort of that paneling thing I was talking to you guys about with the half walls, and they had something very similar to that. So I think with the pillars and that together, I think it represents what it was like quite well, in my opinion anyway. But I'm sorting out windows. I actually experimented with a lot of different windows, but this video is quite long, so I didn't want to add it in because it was taking me a while, and I was like putting ones on and taking them off, put them on, take them off. But I think these windows are actually base game. I've realised recently something that I do in my head is whenever I use like base game objects, I'm like, oh yeah, this will be great, then people with base game will be able to use this lot. But then I forget that like the entire rest of the build isn't using base game or hardly any base game objects. So my sort of yippee, I'm going to be able to help everyone, but and have lots that maybe if they hadn't had all the packs they'd be able to use, but it's kind of silly because it's not the case at all. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to get the lanterns to sit on top of the water. So I put them in, and originally what I did is I moved them up twice, and you do that with the 9 key. And I moved them up twice, and when I then, and this is me doing it now, but when I actually went round to do it again, I thought that they were kind of sitting on top of the water, not in the water. And it did look a little bit weird, like they were almost floating. So I then actually, you'll see me putting in these little candles, candle light sort of things, which I've also used the 9 key on the bottom of the pool and moved them all the way up. But you'll see that later on, I might be doing it now. I actually only move them up one so that they are half in the water and half not. And I then also changed the colours of some of them. And I put in more of them than I did the first time because I thought that actually it looked better with more of them there. And I put in loads of these little tea lights. But this was really, really repetitive. So I'm just showing you the little bits of highlights. So you don't have to watch through the entire thing, because I can imagine that would be quite boring, seeing as it is really quite repetitive. I think after seeing this sort of front section, you don't really need to see anything else. But you'll see me go into daytime there, and I actually changed, I'm doing this now, I actually changed the colour of the inside of the pool or lake or whatever it should be, because in previous videos what I've done is the water has been green because it was kind of drilled into us when we were learning about at least Chinese culture, that green water was seen as the purest and the cleanest. And when we actually went to some of the temples and gardens, they had green water, and it was so clear, and it was so beautiful. And I can see why that was, said as the the most perfect watercolor, whereas maybe we might think of more of like a turquoise color as being like pure and clean water. But that was what I originally did, and so in previous builds I'd done the glowing sort of green colour in the water to kind of try and replicate the kind of colour that this water was. But I realised that actually in the daytime it was because they get that wallpaper and floor paint actually gives off light. In the daytime it was actually hard to see the light that was coming off the lanterns, and in the nighttime you could see the stems of where these lanterns were supposed to be, on walls and where they're hanging, and you could see them. But when I put the water, I put dark tiles in the water, it made it so that it kind of looked like those hanging things weren't there, and that it was just floating lanterns. It is still there and it is still obvious, but I think it looks better this way. But I haven't actually tested this to see if you put it on the lot to see if it all these lanterns will disappear or not. Someone on Twitter actually tried it for me and to see whether it would work, and she said that it would work. So hopefully she's right, and if you place this even without move objects on, everything will still be there. But you'll see just a minute ago I was trying to make some sort of overhang, and I was going to have people sitting up there, but then the roof was mucking up. But and then right now I'm just showing you how I made the waiters and waitresses and chefs look. And I actually cut it out because it took me a long time to decide, but the hosts are in outfits from the luxury party pack, and they're basically wearing gold, and I thought that looked really, really cool, and it looked really, really glamorous. And so I thought that the waiters and the chefs looked really, really professional, but I wanted to add a bit of sort of glam in there as well. So that's what I did. And the toilets I'm putting up here, the windows are cutting through into the different rooms, but if you actually look at the windows, they have the dividing parts between all the glass panes on them anyway, so the windows, it doesn't look really, really weird, and from the outside you can't see the walls, and it doesn't look like it looks intentional, really. It just looks like these windows have been pushed up against the edge. So that's the reason why I put it there, because I know that quite a lot of people don't like when there's walls going through a window, but I actually thought that this worked fine, because I think that this is something that maybe in real architecture or real life you would actually see. But yeah, so we've got the 2 bathrooms up there. There aren't any others, but because they aren't male or female, they're just sort of open toilets for anyone. There was never, when I was playtesting this, and I actually had sort of a glitch that happened to begin with when I was playing Dine Out, which fixed itself, and now I've never sort of experienced that since. But to begin with, I went with the Goths actually to this place, and I think they got there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and by 2 o'clock in the morning the next day, they still hadn't been served their food. So it was kind of ridiculous. But they were going up to the toilet and all of that kind of stuff, and everyone else was going to the toilet because no one else was getting served anyway. It turned out that that part of the reason was that you'll see in a minute, but there are these dividers, like room dividers, which have the paneling going across, like the half walls do, and some of them have the circles in, like the circle cutouts. You might see those later on, but where they clip to on the grid, if you put them next to the chef's workstation, they actually clip into the part. I didn't use move objects, I don't think. They just clip into the part where your Sims will pick up the food. The waitresses and waiters will pick up the food. So be careful with that. If you're placing down the objects, that you need to put Alt on and move it so that it's off the grid, so it's out of the way of that little area. But here I am testing to see which of the host stations I want to use. I think I go for the red wooden one. I wondered whether I go for some sort of I don't know, modern theme or something, but I decided to go for the traditional approach. Also, when I was building this, I hadn't tested to see if you needed like normal kitchen items or not. Do you see there? I didn't move it off the grid. That's where it clipped to, but that was where the problem was. Sorry, but yeah. So that's what I did, and I've lost what I was trying to talk about. Let's move on. I put in a piece of glass here because I thought that would sort of look more clean, and I put in a red and white gate for that. Oh, I remember now. Sorry, because I hadn't actually played yet, I didn't know whether the chefs would sometimes need to use like the fridge or the or counters, or like a normal cooker that you'll find in a kitchen. So I included those because that's what I thought that you would need, but it turns out that you don't, and they don't need to use that. But it does add to sort of the decoration of this sort of kitchen area. And if you do use it and then you want to expand on this restaurant, then in that area I'm sure that you can put in a new chef station, so you can get a chef working there as well. I'm sure that'll work fine. And you can probably take out the fridges as well. But I layered up, there was also another a decorational sort of room divider piece that was these wooden trunks, and I think, you know, most of the branches have been taken off, and they're really nice actually as decorational pieces. But what I did is I layered it up so that you could see it through the circle cutout. And here I am doing the little bar area that I was talking about. So I used those little fountains, those new fountains that we've got. I also thought that this would be a great lot to have. It has like a fish restaurant or seafood. So I added in a fish tank so you could add in your own fish if you wanted to. And the logo, which I put at the front of the restaurant, I moved up to put inside of the waterfall sort of effect area. I'm sorry that this is in nighttime. I was trying to see what it looked like in nighttime, because I thought, firstly, that's probably when your Sims are going to be going to restaurants, but I wanted to see how everything showed up with just lanterns as a light, and whether I needed to add any other lights. And I think I actually put in some little candle lights, the ones that are on the in the water. But yeah, so that's what I do, and I'm sorting out the tables now. The tables are black with glass. I thought that it would add a more modern feel to the design of what I've done so far, but yeah, you can change the tables if you think that something else would work better. I also used some of the new chairs that we've got, which have red sort of pillow casing and what looks like almost oriental patterns. I don't know, I'm not sure, on the actual cushion covers themselves. And then I went for the stereotypical thing of it being a beautiful Japanese place. It's got to have the cherry blossoms. So that's what I've done. And I thought that maybe if your Sims were sitting here and eating, that they could maybe, I don't know whether it works that way, but I thought that the cherry blossom might reflect in the water like it does when you see those beautiful, beautiful pictures. And then with the lanterns as well. And I don't know whether you looked earlier, but I sort of made a fountain area as well. That was kind of like a waterfall. But I thought that it would be quite scenic, and maybe that you could take some really nice pictures of it, or screenshots with your Sims maybe. And what I've realised is for the plants to sort of count as being on the table now, you have to have them in the rotation that they clip to when they go onto the table. So when I've had things in the past and I've had plants on the table, and the Sims haven't actually been able to eat there because the plants have been in the way. So I was worried that if I tried to turn them or move them or anything like that, it might unclip itself from the table and not count as like a seating area anymore. And so then they might not be able to eat there, and that was my worry. And I was scared that they would try and eat there and they wouldn't be able to have their food put down. So I decided to just leave them. So the plants are all facing in the same direction, and so they do look like fake plants because they're all, symmetrical in every single way, really. But I hope you guys don't mind that, because there's not much I can really do about it. But let me know if you know if you can rotate the plants without there being a problem. Maybe because these ones actually came with a Dine Out pack, they were designed so that you could put them on smaller tables and still have people eat around them. But up here, I thought that maybe after your meal, you could come up here and you could sort of sit up there, and it could be like a romantic place, or you could have coffee here or something like that. These don't actually count as tables, so these aren't actually part of somewhere where you can sit and eat. But I thought they were nice decorational things to have up here, to give this sort of balcony area some use, because I thought that it would look a bit silly if I put those in and wasn't actually using them at all. But I think I have an idea for my next build, which will also be a restaurant. I have a few ideas for a few builds, and I think and I also made some builds ages ago which I never actually released, but I think they might be tricky, and so I'm excited for them, and I hope that you like them, and I hope that they turn out well. But my next idea for a build is that maybe we could do like a beach barbecue place. So maybe it would have like a swimming pool, they could go swimming, or maybe look like it was like a natural pool or something, and it would be a place that in the summer and people will go sort of sitting in their bikinis and their swimming trunks and stuff like that, and then they'd go and get a burger, and maybe have some get that Kentucky bar maybe in it, but that was my thought behind it, that maybe we could do something like that, but I wasn't 100% sure. But if you guys are up for watching something like that, then let me know in the comments whether you would want to see something a bit like that. I probably will make it anyway, because I want to do it for fun. But if you do have any other restaurant ideas, let me know, because I'll be, or any ideas at all for any builds. Maybe I can build them, or maybe I can get inspiration from them. So I'd really, really appreciate that, actually. We used a new rug sort of patterns and some wood in here, and I sort of make a walkway. The new patterns that we've got for the carpets, they really remind me of restaurants and hotels. That's what they remind me of, like the patterns which they've chosen. I can only picture them in restaurants and hotels. I don't know whether they're something that would work for at home, or over an entire floor. I don't know. I'll probably be pleasantly surprised when I find out that they can work elsewhere too. But yeah, we're just going through with the last bits of decoration in the inside. And I think, I still haven't put any lighting in here, have I? But I think that I put up some of that cherry blossom canvases. And I love those. I think they're so pretty. I'm going to probably overuse them a ridiculous amount, and so I'm sorry for that in advance. But the paintings and canvases that they've got, and just the decorational items in general which they've got with this pack, is phenomenal. I really, really like them, and I can't wait to use them with everything. But yeah, I hope you like those. And I was gonna say something. My brain's a bit spaced out today. Maybe I need to stop this recording. With the sign, I tried to maybe put that on, like the normal sign on it, but I didn't think it looked right. So I used some of the other sort of Asian looking ones, even though, they might not be Asian, but they kind of look like maybe script writing or something like that. I put the waiter station outside because it doesn't actually matter where that is, and I actually thought that having it just outside might be a nice thing, because it's sort of the place where the outdoors and the indoors meet. So I thought that actually it was kind of in the middle, and it was quite close to where they would need to go for the to pick up the food anyway. So I thought that actually was quite good. I was experimenting with the blossom painting, because I thought, seeing as it's sort of a reddy pink and it goes with so many things, I actually put it up against this against the chef's cooking station, and I think it works really well. And I thought that was going to be the thing that my Sims were unable to use the actual chef station because of, but that wasn't it at all. It was the divider, and that's fine, and they don't, it doesn't bother them at all. So if you do want to put up those canvases up against the cooking stations, feel free to steal my idea. I don't mind. I think it looks quite cool. So I think we're coming to the end. So thank you very, very much for watching, and hopefully see you again soon.